Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you are. Welcome to another episode of the Community Live Stream. This is Monday, July 2nd, 2018. My name is Chuck Tomasi. I am the ServiceNow guy with the purple bow tie today. I'm rotating them around. I need to add more to the selection so I can get a little more. Maybe we should have a game. Guess what color it is today? This is the this is the show where I take you through questions and issues in our community that you see right behind me, and not only give you the answers that I can provide, but give you some of the insights, the detective work, the legacy information, the skills you can use to take that to your own job. If you are a ServiceNow administrator or developer, then you are watching the right content. And I appreciate that very much. We do this show every weekday, well, whenever there's not a holiday, business trip, or family emergency, Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. UTC on YouTube. I encourage you to subscribe to that channel. There's a lot of great content. I just uploaded, I think in the last week, I've got somewhere over 50 videos to YouTube on that channel that have been put in there. And the funny thing is, I'm not part of the community team. I'm helping out. The video series from CreatorCon are now going up there. There's a CreatorCon 2018 playlist where you can find those. I've got about a dozen more videos to add to that playlist. We've also added all the mini testimonials to the hackathon playlist, new playlist on that channel as well. So look for that. We will be interviewing the hackathon winners this week, and I'll be putting together one last video. Pardon me. Oh, the allergies are still having fun. I don't know what it is about this show. I don't seem to sneeze too much during the day, except when the cameras are rolling. So I appreciate that very much. If you find something useful in the next hour or so that you can use for your day job, click the like button and other people will find it helpful. If you've got a comment or question, please put that in the community. I'll show you that link in just a minute. Otherwise, give me a shout out. Tell you where you're from. Tell you what the weather's like, how your day is going, or how your day went if you happen to be finishing up. I know this reaches and spans a number of time zones, and many people may not be watching live. Good morning, Fibsy. Good to talk to you. Let me know where you're from. I am in sunny Phoenix, Arizona, where the sun is just coming up, and it's looking to be about 105. What is that, about 40 something, 41, 42 C? I'll have to double check my Celsius conversion chart and let you know. It may seem hot to you, but it is a wonderful day here in Phoenix, Arizona. If it gets too hot, just jump in the pool. And stay hydrated. So looking forward to getting into this. Let me just finish the preliminaries here. We also simulcast this on Twitch at the same time. That's what simulcast means. We got a couple people that watch over there on a regular basis. Thank you very much for watching. You can find that at twitch.tv/NOWCommunity. And the backlog there is a couple of weeks, whereas YouTube keeps things around forever, if you want to find that out. The other reason I encourage you to ask in the community, which is right here, if you've got wrong keyboard, right here, which is our true system of record for these. This is where I go through and get the information. I'm not scrubbing through other people's YouTube videos to see what questions they may have and how I can contribute to that. So please put those in there. Other people will benefit from that. You'll get more subject matter experts than just me asking this. If you've already asked it in there, go to the URL and copy out the SysID, that 32 characters of hexadecimal in there. Paste it into the chat because YouTube doesn't let you do full URLs. They block those. But you can paste a SysID in there, and I will try to get to it as soon as I can. If you want me to take a look at it, I'd be happy to try. Can't make any promises. My specialty is in custom applications, integrations, and the ServiceNow platform in general. So that's what I do, and that's how I do it. So you may see me pass over a number of these questions and go, why isn't he answering that? Because I may not be a good resource for that. I probably don't have the background of the information. I'm willing to learn, and sometimes I will just say, that's interesting, I'll subscribe to that, and get notifications if somebody does post to that as they go forward. I will also be using a personal developer instance from developer.servicenow.com. If you haven't gone there, I encourage you to do that. Go to developer.servicenow.com where you get a free ServiceNow instance. That's right, free ServiceNow instance that would normally cost lots of money, but you get to use this for your own personal benefit. As long as you keep using it, it stays in service. If you leave it go idle, it gets reclaimed. So make sure you back up your work. If you do anything important over there, save it off to GitHub or an update set or something like that. So if your instance does get reclaimed, you can always fall back on that and reload it and keep going. It's a good time. The other things you can find over at the developer site include learning plans. So if you want to get started being a ServiceNow developer, dig in, have fun, build applications. You'll get a lot of great information out of that. There's also all of the scripting APIs. If you look under here, we'll just pick on that for just a second. Technical best practices, and of course, meetup information, one of my favorites. Waiting for that API page to load. A little slow today, but you can see over on the right-hand side if you want to dig through the APIs, find out what parameters, how to get a little more into scripting. The hardest part about ServiceNow JavaScripting is just learning those APIs. What tools do I have to do what? How do I interact with the database? What do I do with forms? How do I do things on the client side? We also have server-side scripting. This is not your father's JavaScript. Works really well. So even though it's industry standard, you still got to know the APIs for what you're hooking into, just like any other library or stuff that you've got. Where else was I going? Meetups. We have events out here. We have an intern who tries to keep this page up to date. We've got a number of things coming up. But if you really want the good stuff, you go over to meetup.com. Let me get that off the screen. Sorry, hit the wrong key. You go to that URL on the bottom and you will find all the latest and greatest. This is as of this morning. We have meetups coming up in Paris and Chennai and Minneapolis and London. That's just in the next week or so. Following that, we've got Houston, Texas, and Auckland, New Zealand, Boston, Massachusetts, and Sacramento, California later this month. I think Phoenix has also got one in the works for later this month as well. Good morning, ServiceNow fan. Good morning, Vijaya, Aditya. Good to see you. Thank you for joining me today. Everybody who's joining, welcome to the show. You are a part of it. If I've got a question for you, I will let you know. There is about a 10-second latency from the time I see it to the time you hear it, but the response on the chat is pretty quick as well. It's funny because when I say goodbye and wave, you'll see me probably type a response while I'm still talking. That's about what the latency is. So good morning and welcome to you, or good afternoon or good evening, like I say at the top of the show. We also have various other events. I encourage you to go over to our events page at servicenow.com/events. Find out what's coming. Here's a small sample of what's going on around the world, anything from Canberra to Mumbai to Las Vegas. There's all kinds of stuff coming up in July and August, with more being announced every day. If you like, follow me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and you'll get that information. I broadcast that on a daily basis for whatever we find, articles related to artificial intelligence, digital transformation. I'd love to put you on my LinkedIn list, and we can communicate that way as well, even when this show isn't going on. Encourage you to do that. So a lot of great people finding this information. This is not just me out there doing this. It is a wider audience. We have an entire social media team, and I just help to amplify it. So please don't think that this is how I spend my whole day, going through the social networks. Oh, there's much more to do than that. Like posting 3,000, maybe that's an exaggeration. Posting 50 videos to YouTube last week. Looking forward to getting that on-demand library content up and running on YouTube. Get that out of my hair so I can move on with whatever else. It is officially Q3, which means London will be released this quarter. In the next 90 days, you can look forward to that. In fact, later in July, oh man, that's fast. It's now July. That means the personal developer instances will have London on them very, very soon. Speaking of other events, I want to encourage you that our next Tech Now session is going out July 10th. You can watch live at the URL there on the bottom, the bit.ly/TN54reg, and sign up. We will be covering the scripting debugger. So if you are a developer on ServiceNow, you can get your scripts debugged faster, more effectively. Watch them step by step and watch the variables and set breakpoints, all that good stuff. Chuck, is it true that in order to get certified, we have to go through ServiceNow training, which costs at least $1,600? That is the notice that I saw in the community. I am looking for more information from our training department. I don't have any additional information on that. And I don't have any information on retraining. So if you've been if you've been trained and certified in the past, what does that mean? Because I know that we changed the policy for partners to keep them up to date and make sure that partners doing implementations have certifications that are recent and relevant. For example, me, I was certified as a sysadmin and implementation specialist in 2012. If I were a customer looking at a partner with those credentials, I'd say that's a little out of date. That's like Aspen Berlin days, and I'm not sure I'd trust somebody to fully implement effectively on Kingston, for example. So we're saying for partners. But if you're recertifying every other release, I don't know what that means in terms of training. Do you train once and then just recertify every year? So that I've got to query into our training department to find out more, to make this a little more public announcement, maybe a webinar. I don't know how they're going to take care of this, but I haven't heard back. I asked on Friday, I said, hey, there's a discussion, very big discussion going on LinkedIn about this, and I think you need to get involved. So we'll see what comes of that. I don't have any further information other than what's in the community via the PDF that was posted. Kind of took me by surprise. What was it, Thursday or Friday as well? So that's what I know at this point. If I learn more, I will definitely share it, because that's what this series is all about, is learning and sharing. And speaking of which, let's get on to some learning and sharing in the community. I do have one follow-up that I'd like to take care of, and this is about licensing and pricing. If you've watched this before, you know the standard answer that I've got here. Somebody was asking a few days ago, this happened to be posted 6 days ago, about creating a form with no fields or table. They said, hey, I just want to collect input and process it. And I said, one way to do that would be a UI page. It's not the most elegant. It requires some custom scripting. You may run into issues with upgrades in the future. It involves some technical skill around Jelly. So the easiest way, of course, would be to create a table. Then every time somebody says, hey, what is the, I don't know what, they were looking up one thing based on another thing from the user table. For example, give me an email ID and I'll tell you their phone number or whatever it happens to be. And they said, I don't necessarily need a table. I said, if you make a table, you get the free form, but you also get a log of those requests. Who submitted what when? You can display the information back to the user who made that request, but you could also very easily just log. What are the more popular emails? Who are we searching for? Get some statistics around that. If you're putting some form in place, then there's likely a reason for that. And what do you want to know about that? Yeah, it's great to have a service, but Bitly isn't just converting long URLs to short URLs for the fun of it. There's some analytics that are going on behind that. So think about that as you build out some of these simple applications. Yes, you could do this with a UI page and use the processing script to do the server-side scripting on that side. I like to have logs. They don't harm anything. They're a great way to go mine information later. Who asked for what and when, how often, what are most frequent, what's the average number of requests per day. Somebody may want to know that at some point in the future. And if you're just doing a UI page and you're not capturing that information, you may not know. Well, you definitely won't know. You'll have a hard time finding it later. The final question was, hey, if I do this with a table or UI page or whatever, what does the licensing look like? Do I need to have a license for each user that's going to use this? My standard answer in the community is work with your account team. If I post something in the community, even if I know the answer to this, which I may or may not today on how licensing works, I happen to know what the current pricing scheme is for platform licensing, but I'm not going to post it in the community because it's going to be there forever. There are comments and questions in this community that date back 2 generations of software ago, to 2006, 2007, 2008. Some of my first questions from late 2008, early 2009 are still online. So if I post something about licensing, man, licensing has changed a lot since I started using ServiceNow. Across all the business units, we didn't even have business units when I started. It was all in one pricing. So I don't want to post that because somebody's going to come back later and say, what does pricing cost? They'll find it in the community and go, well, okay, I've got an idea what it's going to cost, only to find out from the account team that it has changed maybe a number of times since that post was there. Too easy to be obsolete, too easy to be referenced incorrectly. So I always encourage people, go to your account team whenever it comes to pricing and licensing and get the real information for you. I will not discuss that in the community because of that. So that's my one caveat to start the day. There is another topic that I've got coming up later. I'm not going to get to that yet. Excuse me. Got to get the morning cobwebs out. Alrighty, let's try that again. Has anybody done HP UCS fiber equipment discovery? I can safely say no, I have not. Change preview icon. What icon are they looking to change? It's the little eye icon on the list? No, looking for... Oh, that's different. Can you please help me below? I want to change the preview icon so it doesn't open when you hover over it. I prefer to open when clicking on it. I noticed that this is the case in my ServiceNow dev instance. There it shows an exclamation mark, and in my instance it shows an eye. Okay, that's not an exclamation mark, that's a letter I, and that's an eyeball. I've never seen that icon before. This is what I want. Okay, what release are you using is the first question. What release of ServiceNow are you using on your dev instance? I have never seen that eyeball icon before. The one on the bottom is the letter I to show information. Since Jakarta, I think, we have standardized on clicking that icon to bring up a dialog box with the preview. If you want to go into the record, then you click Open Record on that preview dialog. This was done for accessibility reasons and made standard across the platform. Prior to Jakarta, it was a bit inconsistent. If someone has changed the icon, they may have changed the behavior as well. You could be looking at a custom, what do we call them, reference decoration. But I don't know how they get the old one out. Although I'm not sure how they would remove the eye icon. Isn't customization's fun because somebody later is going to come along and go, how do I change this back? Anyone see this portal search for using homepage widget? We are looking for a full-time ServiceNow administrator developer at WW Granger in Lake Forest, Illinois. Hey, job opportunity. If you are looking for ServiceNow jobs, there is a ServiceNow jobs forum here. Also encourage you, if you haven't heard, I haven't mentioned this in a while, but there is a Slack channel. Did I just hit the right key? I don't know. My text editor's being slow. No, I did not. I thought I was making a new tab. That one brings up the fonts. If you go to https://sndevs.slack.com, you can join that workspace, and there are a number of channels there as well, including one for job opportunities. So job seekers will often post in there. They'll post in the community, and they know they're reaching their target audience really quick. So in order to get certified, okay, Fibsy has the same question. Oh, you said the question about the licensing is what I was talking a minute ago, or the preview icon? Oh, yeah, Fibsy. There you go. You're a celebrity now. At least we can say that. Woohoo! I got my question asked on the live stream. So job opportunities. Stuck in a rut here. Monday morning. Wake up, brain. Job opportunities are available on the community too if you wanted to subscribe to that channel or forum. Now I got my Slack terminology mixed up. Is there a way to only use trusted domains or whitelisting feature for outbound mail? Never heard of that before. That's one where I would like to subscribe. Let's take a quick look at the docs. I'm going to docs.servicenow.com. I'm going to make that just a tiny bit smaller so I can see the icons. Click Kingston and whitelist email. I don't think that's possible. Why? What's the use case that you would want to do that? When you're sending mail, you kind of know where it's going and you should be trusting. I'm afraid that for outbound, we don't have any trusted domain whitelist. Whereas you do have for inbound. Please find the screenshot below on email properties. In order to do so, you will definitely have to write a script or business rule. Okay, I'm going to jump in on this conversation too. Somebody already responded once. I'm curious, what is the business use case for this? If you are in charge of sending the email, then what's the danger in sending it? That's interesting because you could put, someone's either going to be entering a user or group or an email address directly. You could search and filter on all of that. It would be very easy to build your own whitelist application or extension or utility to scrub for those email addresses before it even gets in the queue. Example, my email address may be listed as chuck.tomasi@servicenow.com, and if I feel servicenow.com is a bad address, how did it get in there? Why am I sending to this person? You know what? I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to leave it as, what's the use case? The more I talk about it, the more I feel uncomfortable about it. I want to know their information, not tell them a story. Oops. I'm not signed into my personal developer instance. I've been talking too long. Get that signed in. Maybe we'll get a second or two to use that. All right. Primary IDP. Is there a secondary? Report feasibility. I haven't done much with IDP. I've done a demo and some basic setup to show somebody how to use it. Easy way to compare out-of-box scripts from developer instance to my development instance on performance analytics and reporting. My first thought on comparing the scripts, that should probably go in developer area. Let's see if anybody's responded to that yet. Answer is no. Okay, I want to show the customizations added on scripts on PA dashboard. As part of it, firstly, I want to show what are the out-of-box scripts that have been modified, customized in my developer instance. If any out-of-box script is modified, we would like to revert it back to out-of-box. In order to start that process, we need to show modified/updated out-of-box scripts in dashboard. You don't necessarily need PA to do that. What you do need, it's going to create a record in sysupdate XML, but you need to know which ones are out-of-box. The quickest way I know is to contact customer support, and they can launch a scan to find that for you. Oddly enough, it's kind of tricky finding out what exactly out-of-box means. You could try this yourself by going through the sys update XML table and finding modifications. You'd have to find records where there's a script field. It gets really ugly. This gets really ugly fast. So the sys update XML table, I'm going to take a little educational side tangent here because it's not something you deal with every day, is, if you look at update sets, I just Z-booted this, so I don't know how much update I'm going to have. And I go to local update sets. Update sets, of course, are the way we capture changes as you're making your configuration and customization changes on the instance. There's one called default. It's always listening, always running. Don't delete this one. And the customer updates down here say, oh, look, Chuck changed this dashboard or dashboard permissions or did other stuff, wrote a business rule, set a system property, all kinds of interesting things that are going on. But there's a business rule, disable pre-G blogger. I didn't do that. I don't know, maybe it was an update from the update because that looks like about the time that I Z-booted my instance. That's the term we use for resetting, wiping it. You can do that with your personal developer instance anytime you want. Just go wipe it and start over if you're really, as one of my colleagues likes to say, if you dorked it up really good. The table that captures all of that, again, if you go to the eye icon and you click it, it will show you the record. Open record. This is stored in a table called sys_update_XML or sysupdate_XML. And it contains all of these changes that you've done per record in this update set record. And when you export the update set, it takes that header information in the update set record with all of these customer changes and makes you one big bundle that you can then transfer to another instance. I can prove that by saying show name, and it is sysupdate, table, sysupdate XML. If I want to look at those, sysupdate XML.list. You can put any table with a .list up here. Yeah, I know I'm repeating myself for many of you, but there may be people watching this for the very first time, so I don't want to go too quickly. And here are my 117 entries that I saw in my default update set. If I create a new one, it will keep adding to this. And I can, very much the same list as before, tell whether it's insert or update, what update set it belongs to. If it came in from a remote update set, for example, I loaded this from Share, for example, and who updated it. So a lot of these look like they were around the time that I Z-booted on the 26th or 27th, whatever it was. Those are the records, and if I went through the XML for any one of those, let's open that up. I don't know why I did it this way. I could have just clicked on that first date field. Got this little XML tag here. I could say, hey, is there a script field in here? Turns out there is not. But if I look at the, and just looking at this, you go, is this mine or is this out of box? I don't know. Let's look for, starts with business. Here's a business rule that was changed or updated or created or something. I could search for script in here. Actually, I'd want to look for something a little better because description also has, let's look for that. I have script, which has a CData function, da-da-da-da-da-da. Oh, look, it has script. How do I know if this was original or if this was changed? There could be a sysmod count in here. There should be sysmod count 1. Okay, this was modified once. So yeah, you could go looking, but again, I don't know if this is mine or if this is out of box at this point. If it was perhaps sys created by, no, that could be a ServiceNow employee. I don't know. It gets really tricky to figure out, based on the XML, is this original? Is this mine? Has it been modified 3 times? Because if you just get this blast of XML data and say, here's the the XML for this business rule. How do you know if it was ServiceNow's or if it's yours? Unless you are very, very good from the beginning of your implementation about naming things. Maybe if you work for, say, AIG, for example, you preface all your business rules and all of your service portal widgets and all of your, you get the idea, all of these scriptable things with AIG. You could do it that way. Otherwise, it's going to be a little tricky because we're making updates and you're making updates. And it's not like tables and fields where there's a U underscore or a scope name in front of it. Business rules or script includes can be named anything. And in the global space, it gets a little bit confusing. Now, this was updated by systems, so maybe that's a clue that you didn't modify it, somebody else did. Pardon me. My watch was a little tight for whatever reason. Let's then go to, I'm going to leave that one alone for now. Half past the hour. Thanks for joining. I know it's a holiday week for many in the U.S., which is probably why our viewer numbers are down a little bit. They probably took the whole week off. 4th of July is our Independence Day. If you're not familiar with U.S. holidays, that is when we declared independence from jolly old England in 1776. And then a war broke out. Imagine that. You take away somebody's money, they might get mad. What are the limitations in ATF? Seems like an interesting question. Let's find out what the deeper discussion is. Hi, please help me. What are the limitations in ATF? Limitations and strengths of ATF with dev. What can it do? What can it not? Solution offering with test management and ATF. Explore the extension of capabilities of out-of-box ATF. This sounds like they need to get started with some documentation first. I hate to be the guy to do this. Automated test framework. Okay, let's start with that. Copy the link address. I recommend getting started with some basic reference material if you haven't already. Let's put some commas in there to make it look a little more readable. To get familiar with the functionality. Docs, automated test framework is a good document page to start with, and put in the Tech Now list, but let's also include this link, Command K, Command V, tab a few times, open a new window. Okay, hey, look at that, all from the keyboard. We also covered it in one of the episodes, I don't remember the number, of Tech Now a year or so ago. "54 episodes. Whew. My baby's grown up. Dev 40867 offline. Let's find out. Sometimes this happens and then a few minutes later it comes back online. My developer instance is done and not sure how to get it back up and working. When I try to open it up, it says service interruption. It's been like this since last Friday. I did get an email this morning about an upgrade that did not work so well. Just log in and check manage instance. I think that's where they're going to do that. Let's find out. I'm going to copy that and see if I can hop onto that instance. It'll either work or it won't. I changed my password yesterday. Yay, it worked. And the two-factor number this morning is... And if it's awake, I can communicate with it. Let's see if we can log in. It might fail miserably. Nope. Fail to generate credentials means it's not available. In fact, if I go to paste.servicenow.com. It'll probably give me the same message. All right. Go back to here. Posted this in instance help, right? Yes. Okay. Verified that it is definitely offline. I expect one of our wonderful developer support people to come along shortly and investigate. Thank you for posting in the instance help space. I still use that word from the old software. The instance help forum. And thank you for your patience. Ta-da! I have not been ringing the bell today. Shame on me. Falling apart. Has anybody done HPUCS? Anyone see this portal searching for homepage widget? We already read a bunch of these. Let's do a quick refresh on that page. Oh, let's go to unsolved. Just turn it up a little bit. Limitations ATF. Window credentials authentication failed. Commit CMDB update set. Okay, normally you don't do CMDB through an update set, but let's find out what they've been trying to do. Hello all. I have a custom table, which is a third level extension of CMDB. I created around 13 fields and field level ACLs for the same. While moving the update set to QA instance, I got the below message while committing the update set. Update set commit running child progress, Message from child progress table. It did not show any error while previewing committing, but I'm curious what the message actually meant. 87 complete, 679,000 out of 773,000 rows. I hardly have around 170 fields. No. After committing the update set, I'm not seeing any issue with the table behavior. Just want to know what the meaning is. The meaning is it's looking at all the records. You may go through knowledge article once. Let's see what this knowledge article says. What it's doing, my understanding is, it's doing a table alter. When you make a modification to a table, like adding a column, it's making it at the top level because, well, I'm not going to get into all the details, but it's going through every record in the CMDB. They've got 773,000 records in their CMDB, and it's got to modify. It's affecting every one of those. Let's see. Steps to reproduce. A column created in a base table, such as CMDB, is not available to the child table. That's not related. I'm not sure how that helps. Okay. Running child progress, applying schema change, batch altering table. Okay. You've affected the CMDB. The short answer is you made a change to the CMDB table schema. It affects all records in your CMDB. How about 773K? Was that the number? Yeah. It's telling you where it is in this alter process. That's the database name for it. You asked, I try to answer. Give them the bell. I apologize about Friday's broadcast. I was going through it and noticed about 3/4 of the way through, my microphone suddenly cut out one channel. Something about this XLR cable, I'm going to have to, or maybe it's the mic. My good old, see if I can do this without making too much background noise. Good old shotgun mic, just sitting off camera, is what I'm using. And it may be getting a little aged. Make sure that didn't disturb the audio. Nope. If I just jiggle the cable, it'll go back in. But I often don't look over to my right to see how things are going with the audio and video unless somebody tells me. So if you have any issues, please let me know in the chat. But apparently it's okay right now. Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Sam. Glad you could join us. Thank you for watching. I am going through random stuff. Notification and approval table issue. Ooh, this sounds challenging. Oh, hey, I opened it up in another tab. I wasn't paying attention. Hi, all. I have an issue. I wrote one application in approval table for my dev instance, and it allows me requested item fields. But when I move those changes into production, it's not applied, and I'm not able to request item fields in approval notification. Briefly below is the attached That's interesting. Okay, approval for task fields gives you the fields for the approval task that's on there. And in live, not showing tables under approval task fields. I have an admin role. What is happening? What I understand here is the approval for field points to task. Okay, task is the parent table of incident, problem, request item, etc., etc. By default, you don't have access to those specific fields like caller ID on an instance. That's specific to incident. I said instance, I meant incident. It only sees task because the reference field is pointing to task. This is something I commonly catch myself with, is what do you want this to point to? Do you want visibility to all tasks that go across all fields? Or do you want to point to a specific type of task? In this case, approval for is already defined, and it is what it is. So let's see what we come back with. Can you tell me which table you have applied to the notification on both dev and prod? In this approval notification, sysapproval approver table. Also, in live as shown by you, click the show related fields, the last option of the drop down. You might find your condition there. All right. Show additional replies. Thanks for the reply in both dev and prod. I'm using the sysapproval approval table only. Sorry, I checked already. I think it's a bad screenshot of prod. Please note my below screenshot. He's going to something task and he's looking for. What's he looking for? I wrote a notification in my approval table. In my dev instance, it allows me requested item fields, but when I move these changes into production, it's not applied. I'm not. Okay, so the notification is check. He's got a requested item. I'm not quite following what the exact issue is here, but let's keep going through the replies. I tried to reproduce your scenario, but I was not able to do so. Please find the below image of my configuration. Table is sysapproval. Then the condition, approval task, requested item. So there's a requested item reference in the task field. Maybe that's your class. I don't know where that's coming from. I'm only moving this notification to prod. So before I start, I create, update, set, and capture notification changes. After that, I moved. Then I'm checking in prod, but it was showing empty. So I manually tried to change it, but I can't. The task fields are not visible. I think I know. In fact, somebody sent me this email this morning. Now I just have to find it. It's a property. I'm going to do this the hard way. Properties. And the property is something about extended task fields. Glide.ui list allow extended task fields. The condition builder, if I remember right, is based off of both of these. So check this property in prod. Now the trick is remembering where it is. If you don't know what page a property field is on, this is a little tip. I often do this. I go to sys_properties.list, which I have put on a favorite here, and I search for it. And I get the actual property, but rather than telling somebody to go to sysproperties_list, I like to direct them to the actual page. It's easier to navigate to, but first I have to remember how to navigate to it. Under categories, I see UI. That gives me a clue that it is going to be under UI properties. So let me go down to system properties. And in there is going to be, where is it? UI properties. System, it's likely to be here. And let's keep looking. Allow base table lists, tasks, CMDB, etc. to include extended fields. Somebody just asked me about this morning in an email, oddly enough, about an hour and a half ago. They may have this on in dev and not turned on in prod, which is why they can't see these fields. Check this. Go to System Properties, UI Properties, and see if this property is checked in prod. You may have it turned on in dev, but not prod. It allows you to get the fields from those extended tables. Remember earlier I was saying caller ID is not available because it's on incident. If you're pointing to task doesn't know what fields are on incident. If you check this property, it makes those available. Now the good news is you can get to those. Somebody was asking in the context of reporting, and they said, is there a performance issue? I said, yes, there's probably a negligible performance issue while the database goes and figures out what tables and fields are available to those extended tables. But I don't know what the performance ramifications are on a larger scale. I have never done any load testing, so therefore I don't know if it's going to be negligible or if it's going to be significant. I've never done that. I don't have the numbers. But the system does have to work a little harder to get that extra information, obviously. The upside to the downside of this is if you are including a report. Let's say I have a report on the task table and I include the caller ID field, but it's listing all tasks. Well, the only rows that are going to have an entry for caller ID are the incident records. So if my task report also has request items, project tasks, change requests, you get the idea. Those don't have any value. So you're going to see maybe if let's say 10, be a little more realistic, 50% of all my tasks are incidents. If I have a report of 1,000 records, well, there's 500 of those records that will have nothing in that value, in that column. Does that give you any value? Maybe, maybe not. And what other columns do you need to put on to make this report valid? You're going to have a caller field, and you're going to have a requested field. Well, that takes care of all the change requests, and it goes on and on like this. So it looks kind of like a Tetris game where these are filled in over here, and these are filled in over here, and another column has some other values. You're getting the same general information. I know, would be nice if you had one generic requester / caller / something on task, and some customers have done that. They've gone and created a U_employee or U_user field and made it refer to sysuser. However, not all tasks point to sysuser. You may have a customer service management installation. That's a different story. Good morning, Harsh. Good morning, Sam. Well, I think I already said hi to Sam, but that's all right. I replied to your question, Chuck, about the eyeball thingy. Yes, I see that in my inbox. I'm getting that just a second. It is wrapping up towards the end of the hour. Wanted to get that last one there. Give you some explanation about that task extended table list thing if you haven't seen that before. Let's go take a look at what Fipsy's got to say. Go to my inbox, open it up in a separate tab, and then I do have one other thing that I want to show you. Cool feature of the day. I'm going to just make a segment called that. Put in a little music. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, I'm sure I could find something. Change to the preview icon. Fibsy comes back, and I was asking about the release. Never seen it before. Working on, did that say Kingston? Kingston, interesting, on the prod instance. So they're the same. I haven't changed anything. This is Kingston. I don't see any patch, but the demo instance on Kingston 13.05. Interesting. I haven't changed anything config. I'm sure no one else did, since I'm the only one with admin privileges. That might be time to reach out to support. I don't know what the answer to that is, because that should be unmodifiable by customers. I have not ever seen that the reference decoration change. In fact, if I go to my personal developer instance and look at any particular one, we'll go to an incident, since that's my favorite table to pick on, and often the most abused child in the whole ecosystem, I've got the info icon right there, standard out of the box. Click it, up comes that. The only time I've seen anything, I've never even seen that eyeball before. I've seen the little fuel gauge for Inform Analytics. But, curious. Let's see what other people say. I don't have any additional information on that. Sorry. All right. Here, I'll put that in just so others know that I've thrown my hat. I have not. Sorry. This is a head scratcher. Everybody understand that reference where you go, you're scratching your head, you don't understand? I'll be curious to read what other people say. If you get nothing in the next day or so, reach out to support. Put those sentences together like they make one sentence. There we go. And post reply. I should have a different sound effect where I can't provide an answer. Actually, I do have one. It goes like this. You ever watch The Price is Right? Or we could do the sad trombone. That's just for bad jokes. Yes, we have lots of sound effects on this end because I do other podcasts. Lots of Star Trek sound effects if you want to hear the warp engine failing from the original series. The other thing I wanted to show you is a feature called the parent field formatter. And if I go to parent breadcrumb, excuse me. Somebody was asking about this in a different thread. I forgot where it was, and I didn't make a note of it. Parent breadcrumb. I learned about this about a year or two. Knowing my memory is probably 3. Very common in the project arena, where you get this little breadcrumb on a form. And you can put this on your form. You may have seen it, but not know what it was for. It is one of the available out-of-box formatters. And it gives you the ability to add breadcrumbs to your tasks. And by default, it will use the parent field, which is standard for task, and plan task is extended from that, and so on and so forth. But you can tell it to use other fields as long as your tree is consistent. So the formatter is available under Configure Form Layout, just like annotations, just like anything else. You've got your fields listed alphabetically, you've got your related lists, and related lists come after. But here is the parent breadcrumbs. I like to put it at the top, so let's move that up. There's a faster way to do it, I just forgot that time. We'll put it right above number. If you like, you can do the thing with the start split, begin split. And now I've got parent breadcrumbs all the way across, much like you do the process flow formatter, which is also, notice that the process flow formatter, that's that little subway with the chevrons that goes across the top, is not available out of the box until you define some of the values in the process flow. So I'm not going to show that one today. Maybe that's a topic for another day. Parent breadcrumbs, it says you are at the top level. This doesn't make any sense to put this here. However, if I were to, I don't think I can put an issue on here. Let's put the parent field on the section down here, related records. We'll go down to the related records section. There's my fields. I'll put the parent field out there somewhere. So right underneath problem, I'll put parent. And when I add a parent record, let's say incident something else, 2, what am I on? 59. Save that. And you start drilling through these records. It says you are now the parent of 59 is 2. And I can chain these together if I drill through to 2 by clicking it. I'm on 2, and I can say the parent of 2 is maybe incident 1. What value is that? If you've got a hierarchical table scheme where records are referencing other records, particularly in the same family, can get really confusing. So 1 is the parent of 2, 2 is the parent of 1. Let's go back to 59. I think it's this one, unable to access team share. And you start getting this whole hierarchy of how did I get here? That's what the parent breadcrumbs are for. Very useful for navigation. Now you can configure these as it says here. If you go under UI formatters, parent breadcrumbs, UI formatter, oops, formatters. I thought there was a configuration page. Navigate to formatter, select breadcrumbs, view UI macro for this formatter, and you probably want to make your own. I would recommend not modifying the out-of-the-box one, but you can use a different description. So right now it says whatever the display value is, and it defaults to parent. Okay. By default, breadcrumb uses the default display value as the link to the breadcrumb. To customize this, replace the field name parameter. They're actually encouraging you to go in and modify an out-of-box formatter. Lovely. My solution would be copy and use that. Call it something else, like my breadcrumb formatter. You can use it on non-task tables. It is possible. I usually default to tasks. It's one of the advantages of tasks. But what I would recommend is you go to System UI Formatters, Parent, so that you're not modifying one of the out-of-the-box ones. You can see they did one for that. And change the name. Maybe call it Parent Breadcrumbs 2. View UI macro for this formatter is going to bring up the UI macro, because a formatter simply tells you how you want to display the macro. UI macros in and of themselves don't lend themselves well to being placed on a form unless you have a formatter to tell it how to use it. That's all it is. There's a relationship between formatters and UI macros. Not all UI macros need a formatter, but all formatters, correction, some formatters need a UI macro. You can see there are other ones that are of different types. So I'm not going to get into that. I'll mess that up pretty badly. Where was I? I was just on the macro parent breadcrumbs. Sorry. And this is, again, Jelly code, XML. So if you're not comfortable with this, we do have a series of videos. The first 3 Tech Now episodes were all on Jelly to get you more familiar with what you're reading. It looks like it's half JavaScript and half XML and half who knows what else. It can get a little kooky, but the idea is that you would tweak this. I would probably consider this breadcrumbs 2, parent crumbs 2, or parent crumbs Chuck, or Chuck's parent crumbs. Name it something else. Save that copy so that you're not modifying an out-of-the-box object. And then upgrades, for whatever reason, if this were to be upgraded in the future, which probably hasn't happened in years and years, but you never know. Yours will be untouched, and you don't have to play the conflict resolution game. However, if you do want to know that, hey, Parent Breadcrumbs was finally updated when you do your upgrade, go ahead, modify the out-of-the-box one. There's 2 schools of thought there. One, do you want a silent upgrade that you're not getting advantage of because you didn't use it? Or do you want the warning that says you modified an out-of-the-box, therefore you need to decide, what are you going to reconcile this by using your code or the new and improved code, or somehow merge them together and make some? That's up to you. One silently upgrades, but you're not going to ever hear about it. You won't get a warning. You won't be able to take advantage of it if you're not using it. The other does warn you, so you've got a little more work to do on your upgrades to reconcile that if that should ever become upgraded. That's not just for the UI macros. That's for any out-of-box object. Part of your upgrade process. That's something you need to decide, is which of those 2 schools do you want to belong to. For years, we've been preaching, make a copy of the out-of-box one, deactivate it, go click, okay, you're no longer active. I'm not going to even make you available for anybody to choose. We've been rethinking that. I don't think there's any official publication, so I'm not saying one is better than the other. I'm saying it's a choice you get to make. All right, that takes us to the top of the hour. I appreciate you joining me. Thank you very much. Everybody's been wonderful today. Great interaction, great question. Hope you have a wonderful Monday if you're just getting started. If you are just finishing up, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you tomorrow again at 1 p.m. UTC. Right here, same URL. Don't forget to check the like if you found something helpful in this. I try to broadcast as much useful information as possible. Some is repeated, some is new, some of you are new, some of you are repeats. It's going to go around like that for a while. And I think we are just about coming up on 100 episodes. I have to go back and check, but this is 96, 97, might even be 100. I'll double check. And thank you very much for hanging out with me. I know some of you have been there since the beginning. Some of you are trying to go back and watch from the beginning. Until tomorrow, make sure if you learn something new, you share it, and you will be a hero. So take care. I'll see you tomorrow.